Welcome to our Google Classroom Wednesday webinar. This is our second webinar of the year. I am Mark Oakton, one of the coordinators here at the Instructional Design and Professional Learning Division. I get to work with Instructional Technology, or the Talent, Technology, and Literacy Development Department. That's a mouthful. I'm still trying to get used to all the acronyms as we've changed things around. But I am so glad to be here and to be talking Google with you. We have three of our digital coaches with us today: Kirsten Baschnagel, Dennis Jarrell, and Ray Wilhite, who will be doing the bulk of the talking because they're the guys that know the stuff a lot more than I do. You see Brandy March's picture on the webinar. Unfortunately, she could not be with us today. Real fast, I want to know where everyone's from. Can you take a minute to type in what school you're from? Okay, I see NBLA, Beckley Elementary, Welland, Brookman, Western, Vegas PBS. Thank you, Jamie, for being here. Beckley, Smalley, Rogers, Thurman White, Beckley again, awesome. Cheyenne, Dickens, Bailey Middle School, Garrett Junior High School, Gene Ward, Perkins, out in Moapa, excellent. Steele, Forbes, El Dorado, Richard Bryan, Green Valley, Hughes and Mesquite, Adcock, Hyde Park, West CTA, Detweiler, Liberty, ATEC, Veterans Tribute, Western, Cowan Behavior, Daly Elementary, User Support Services. Thank you, Brian, for being here. Cary Elementary. Dennis is excited about all the Moapa Valley people. Smalley, Western Seville, Brookman, Levitt Middle School. Thank you, Don. My daughter goes to Levitt, so glad to see you out here. Gerheim and Hyde Park. So we've got quite a range of experience, a lot of elementary, middle school, and high school mixed in together. Wonderful. All right. Now we want to know what your experience is with Google Classroom. Here's a little survey. Let's see where you're at. Go ahead and select what best describes you. All right. So you can see that we have a little bit of experience with this. Some of you have heard of it a little bit before. 4% have no idea what I'm talking about. A few of you are playing with it. A couple of you are using it with the kids. It looks like one or two people are consistently using it, and one person is kind of a big deal. Okay, I think we're going to turn over now to Kirsten.
Class. Yes, indeed. It is my turn to get started. So hopefully, or maybe some of you have used Edmodo in the past. And if that's the case, Google Classroom is similar to Edmodo. I like to think of it as it's a little more in its infancy than Edmodo, but it's growing every single day. In fact, everything changes. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the things that we practiced this morning are different today. Who knows? So the first thing we're going to do is you go to classroom.google.com is where you would access it. That's the quickest way right now to get to it. And then you'll log in with your nevada.ccsd.net Google account. And when you get in there, it's going to ask you, are you a teacher or are you a student? You're going to choose teacher. You always want to choose teacher. You can become a student of any class using a join code, but you want to start off by putting yourself in that teacher role. And then it's going to prompt you to create a class similar to Edmodo. When you create your class, you click on the plus sign next to your name up in the top right, and you're going to click Create a Class. It's going to ask you to name your class, and then you're going to create it, and it's going to give you a join code. Excuse me. So up in the top right, you can see where it says option 1 about how to get the students enrolled in your class. You can simply give them the class code, and they'll do the same thing you did. Go to classroom.google.com, log in with their nv.ccsd.net credentials. They can't use this with any other account except for their school district Google account. Give them the class code, and then they will be attached to you. Or you can send out invitations to the students by name. So you would click invite, and then you would type in your students' names, and that would send it to their Google addresses. Questions on that? All right. Excuse me. So in your stream, and we're going to go to a live view shortly where you'll be able to see what a live stream looks like. But one of the pages is the About page. And on this is where you can enter all your class information. It houses where your files are saved. It houses your calendar, which syncs with your Google Calendar. And then it also allows you to add other materials, things like a class syllabus or expectations, things like that. All of that can be put there so that students can get to it very easily. So it's a nice feature to have those resources available at the student's fingertips as well as yours. So I'm going to turn it over to Ray. I will see you again at the end.
Hi, thanks, Kirsten. So as you saw with Kirsten's, there's the stream, the classmates, and about. The stream itself is pretty much like a news feed or a ticker for the class. Any new item will be put at the top of the stream, and it bumps everything else down. Specifically with announcements, which I'll go to the next one, it will show you in teacher view and the student view. They both see the work due in the top left corner, which again, I'll show you that live in just a minute. But just to know that the past due will only show assignments that are coming due. They're not due yet. As soon as that deadline happens and it's gone, they won't show. So I would make sure to let my students know, hey, just because it doesn't say anything, you still doesn't mean you turned in those other items that are late now. One thing it does show for the teachers that it does not show for the students is this stream show deleted items, the middle arrow there. And normally you'd leave that off. However, if you wanted to, you could turn it on, and it would simply show anything that had been deleted. It'll show stuff that you deleted, or it would show things that the students have done and deleted. I just kind of make the students aware of that so they realize that if they do put something in there, it will still show to you if you want to see it. And the bottom shows the class code. Again, the class code also shows on the Classmates tab, but for you, and you also see it on the normal stream on the bottom left-hand side. It's grayed out and covered there, but there is a join code there in the stream. An announcement can be anything from, hey, make sure to bring your book next week, or we're going to be reading this. Here's a link to maybe some resources for the test we're going to take. It's not necessarily an assignment, but it's something that you want to announce to the students, hey, be ready for this. Or maybe it's just you can put some funny things in there to get them to read it, just to engage them a little more and make sure it gives them something they want to check, and it's not just always bleh. So this screen is pretty busy. However, we're going to walk through this. I'm going to do it live, and then the intention is that if you needed to, you could come back and do this number 1 through 6, go through it as you needed. So I'm going to do an app share here. And I can't see anybody's screen check, so I'm going to assume you can see me. If not, let me know.
We can see your screen, Ray. You're good.
Okay, thanks. So the first thing you need to do is click on the plus sign, and over here it shows you what those icons mean, but you actually have to click on the icon. So I'm going to do create an announcement, and this again could be have a great day, and if I wanted to attach a file, I could attach a specific file. I would highly recommend and suggest that you always attach a Google item. If you have a file, I would put it into your Google Drive, and then I would click here, and this will let you select that from your Google Drive. You could also put in a YouTube video, or you could put in a specific link to a website, maybe for the exam or for whatever it happened to be. Right now, whatever class you're in, that will be defaulted, and that announcement or whatever item will be posted there. But if you click this drop-down arrow, I could simply check these boxes, and I could send it to all those classes at once. I wouldn't have to do this each time. The next item over here before we post it is a save draft. So maybe I have 3 or 4 of these set up early, and then that way if I do it the week before, then the next week I can just log in the morning and go ahead and hit post daily as they need. Currently, I don't believe there's any way to schedule the announcements or et cetera to be posted at a certain date. Well, I'll put it in the feedback, maybe we'll get it. So I'll put post, and that item is now right here. If you have a post that you want to bump up like we just talked about, I could hit this and move to top. This one's already at the top. And I'm going to back out of my share. Does anybody have any questions on that for a minute, or are we going to wait till the questions all at the end?
Yeah, there were a couple of questions, Ray, and I'll feed those to you. D. Pope asks, do the class codes ever lock like in Edmodo?
Okay, well, when you go in here, you have some, I'm going to share this again. You have your class code. They don't reset unless you hit reset, but you could go disable. So theoretically, once you had all your students in it, and you're not adding anybody else, you could just disable it, and then when you brought it back, it will do like Edmodo and reset. But no, it won't actually lock. That code should actually, as far as I know, unless Dennis or Kirsten, if you know differently, I believe that code stays the same. Is there anything, any others?
The code actually changes when you reset it.
Well, right, when you reset it, but if you don't reset it, it stays the same. Edmodo like locks out after 2 weeks, and then you have to change it.
And if you sometimes the codes are generated randomly, you might get a code that's not what you want it to be, not what you want to give to students.
Also, along those lines, the code is always going to be lowercase letters and numbers. So if you see something that could be a 0 or an O, if it's the full size of a number, then it's a 0, and if it's half size, it's an O. Somebody else has a mic on besides me. Mark, is that you?
You turned it off.
Okay. Were there any other? I'm looking through the chat now. Can we get a playback?
I think we're good.
Okay. So with that, I'll get to pass back off for creating an assignment.
Thank you, Ray. Hey, peeps. How we doing? This is my first rodeo, so bear with me here. The next 3 slides are pretty much the same thing, and again, they're here for reference, but in just a second, after I click through them really quickly, I'm going to go to a screen share and kind of walk you through each one, but I'm going to cover creating an assignment, which you can see in this slide. The next one is creating a discussion question in your stream, and then the final one is how to reuse a post. And the process for doing all those is very similar for all 3. You just get different options depending on which one you're using. And I will go to my screen share right now and show you what that looks like. So I'm back in my stream. This is the live view of my stream, and there's our announcement right there. And so when I want to post an assignment, I just come back down here to the plus, and I go up above create announcement, and I actually click on create assignment. And then when I do that, I will get this window popping up that says assignment up in the top. I can give my assignment a title, like sample essay. I can put some descriptions or directions in there. And then I can set a due date. I don't have to set a due date. In fact, if I click on that, I can disable the due date if I would like and have no due date for the assignment. It defaults to, I believe, the day after you assign it or 2 days after, but you can click on the calendar and you can pick any date that you would like in the future. Obviously, if you just pick a past date, it'll mark it as late. And then you can also, if you want to, you can set a time, and it defaults to 11:59 p.m. the day that you select for the due date. But you can change it. You can change it to whatever time that day you want to. Down here on the bottom left, again, like Ray said, you can attach any document that you want to. You can attach a Word document, a PowerPoint, whatever. We, of course, recommend that you attach Google Drive files because they just work better with Google. And so you can go into your drive and attach anything from your drive. You can also attach a YouTube video, and I've had a couple people ask me, can you attach other videos? You can, but you have to do it through the paperclip and you have to have it downloaded. So this is specifically for YouTube videos, and if I click on it, you can add the video by searching YouTube through the search bar, or if you have a URL for a specific video, you can paste it in there and do that. And then your final option there is to paste in a web link. So if you just wanted to do a link to a page or something like that, you could do that. I'm going to pick on a file that I have set up for this, hoping the internet cooperates with me. And then I'm just going to select the file and click Add. And then it will show up down here as attached to my new assignment. Same option that I have for announcements. I can post to multiple classes at one time if I want to. If I have a co-teacher and they've added me to their class, I can also cross-post to their class if I want to. For right now, I'm just going to post to our class. You'll notice the trash can. If I decide that I need to delete it, I can. And then here is the major difference with an assignment. So now that I've attached that Google Doc, I get 3 options for how to have Google Classroom handle that document. So the top option is students can view the file. And so what that does is basically it creates a template of my file and it just pushes out one file to all the students, but they cannot edit it. They can open it, they can look at it, they can see it, and unless you've disabled this feature, they can make a copy of it, but they can't edit the file attached to that document in any way. So if you're just wanting something that you want them to make a copy of, you could do it that way. The second option is students can edit file. Now this is something pretty particular to Google Drive, because what that means is it pushes out one file that all students can edit. So if you have like a Google slideshow that you want all of the students in your class to edit that same file together, which I've done that with a timeline in class, but it gets pretty crazy when you have 15 or 20 kids on the same document. But you can do that, and that's what you would pick. That's how you would do that, is pick that second option. The third option, the bottom option, is the one that you're probably going to use the most. And what it does is it makes a copy for each student. And when they click on their copy, which Kirsten's going to show you in a little bit, it pops up a copy of that document with their name already appended to it. So I'm going to go ahead and select that one. And then again, I can go ahead and click Assign at this point, or if I'm not quite ready to push it out, I can click on the arrow and I can click Save Draft, and then it'll go into my drafts up at the top. But this one's good to go, so I'm going to go ahead and click Assign. And then, assuming that my internet is not being super slow, there you go. It'll pop up in my stream. And then at that point, I can see the due date appear. If I decide that I need to edit it or delete it in some way, I can do that. It shows me that nobody has completed the assignment. It gives me the title, all that good stuff. And then I can click on the sample essay and I can have my version of it pop up. I don't know if anybody has any questions about that right now. I can't really see the stream.
No questions have popped up. You're good.
All right, I'm going to rock on then. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to create a question. You could use this for a discussion question right in your class stream. And again, it's almost the same process. There's just different options, just different things that you can set and do. So I'm going to click on my plus again. I'm going to go up to create a question. The question window pops up. I usually just ask my question right here. What do you hope to get out of this webinar? And then if I want to, I can put some further directions in here, like maybe, I don't know, answer in a complete sentence, because that always drives me nuts when they don't do that. I can, again, attach a due date to my discussion question, and at that point, people won't be able to respond anymore. I can attach a due time. Again, I can attach any kind of file I want to. If I had a Drive document that I wanted them to look at, if I had a YouTube video, maybe I had a YouTube video about digital literacy or something like that that I wanted them to watch, I could find the video and I could select it and then click Add, and then that would give them the ability to watch the video. Whoops, sorry about that. Watch the video before they did the discussion question. Again, I can assign it to multiple classes if I like, or I can just choose the one. I can trash it. If I'm ready and I'm done and I'm satisfied with how it is, I can click ask, or I can do the save a draft thing. You do have one more option though once you click ask for a discussion question, and that's these two options right here. So it says let students see and reply to each other's answers, which if you're going to do a discussion question, it makes sense to leave that checked. But there's also this one for edit their answers, and in my experience, I usually check that one, because what you'll have happen is my direction there of answering in a complete sentence, some students might not read that, and then they'll put a one-word answer or something like that, which won't get them credit or isn't sufficient. And if you do not check edit their answer is just stuck on there, and they can't really do much about it. They can't go back and change it or anything like that. So I usually enable that one. So I'm going to go ahead and enable that, and I'm going to click ask. And then my discussion question will pop up with the attached video right above my assignment essay. And again, like Ray said, if I wanted to move this back up to the top, I could click on the three dots and click move to top. So any questions about a discussion question? If not, I'll rock on.
There was one, and I apologize, I was trying to watch the text chat, but they're asking as far as can students be required to answer before they see the other results?
I believe the answer to that is yes. If I click into this,
I also believe it's yes. We're in as teachers into this one, so we won't be able to see it. Kirsten, if you go into one of the questions, do you see where it makes you answer first?
I will let you know shortly when we get in there.
I'm pretty sure, Ray, that the answer to that one is yes, because I don't believe you can even see, and you'll see this when Kirsten pulls it up, but her display is different once she gets inside the questions, but I don't believe she can even see other students' answers until she has put her own in. And I think that's just on by default. I don't even think there is an option to see the other kids' answers before you answer, to be honest with you. That's a little bit different. Now, if you just post an announcement or something in the stream and kids comment on that, everybody can see that. But I'm pretty sure that you can't see until you actually submitted your own answer. So let me pull this over a little bit and I'll go back to my stream. Any other questions about that one?
I had to step out for a minute, but Dennis, do you want to turn your mic off for just a second?
Sure.
I had to step out for just a minute, but we had a couple of questions, and I don't know if you might have. Let's see. I have to look back at the text chat here. See, Naomi asked about uploading a Word doc and converting it to a Google Doc. It actually happens in Drive, in your Google Drive account, rather than in your Google Classroom. And in your Google Drive account, you can just drag the Microsoft Word doc from wherever it's at, from the location, and drop it into your Google Drive, and it will automatically be there. If you go into your settings, you can make it so that it saves, so it converts it to a Google Doc when you drag it in. But you have to make that change in your settings before you drag it in. And let's see. There's another question. I'm trying to find it real fast.
There was one more from Jason M. about uploading the handout. Jason M. says, so if I upload a handout, they can then answer the question and then upload to the class. And the answer is yes. If you select that everybody gets their own copy, when they click on it, as soon as they click on it, it makes their own copy. You're able to see it as a teacher still the whole time they have it, but then at the end, they can just hit turn in on the file itself, the Google Doc or Sheet or whatever will have a turn in button in the top right corner. And when they click turn in, it'll send it back to you.
That's the one I was looking for. Thank you, Ray. One other question. Is the conversion to Google Doc exact from Word, or is it still different? Google Doc doesn't have all the formatting options that Word has, so it does make some changes to the formatting. For example, you can't have things in multiple columns in a Google Doc. All right, we can keep going.
We good to go? Okay, so the last thing that I'm going to show you before I turn it back over, oops, hold on, I lost my screen. Before I turn it back over to Kirsten, is how to reuse a post. And I'm wishing they would have had this last year because I would have used this a lot. Typically what would happen with me is I would push an assignment out through Google Classroom, and I would forget to click make a copy for each student, and then I would try to go back in and change that, and once you have posted your assignment, there is no way to change that. So this is kind of a workaround for that. This is also, you can use this if you meant to post to multiple classes and you didn't. So this is a really handy feature. So again, you go into the plus, you go up to the top where it says reuse post, you click on that. The first window that you get is quite a bit different. The first thing that you're going to do is this is a list of all your classes. And so the first thing that you have to do is pick the class that you want to reuse the post from. And that can be an assignment, it can be an announcement, it could be anything from the stream. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the class that I'm already in. So I click on that and then click select. And then what it's going to do is it's going to pull up a list of every single assignment that is posted in that class right now. And so what I can do is, like, if I wanted to repost my essay that I just put out, or if I wanted to post it into another class or something like that, I could select that. And then you do have one option on here before you hit reuse, and that is create new copies of all attachments. And this one gets a little confusing. So what happens when you push out a doc attached to assignment is Google Drive, Google Classroom makes a template out of that original assignment, and then it attaches the template to the assignment and pushes the template out to the students. Now what that means is if you go back and make changes to your original document and then you leave this checked, those changes aren't going to show up when you repost the assignment because it's going to be using the template and not the original. So you can still reuse the same thing. It just gives you an option of whether to take it off or not. So I usually uncheck that. I haven't figured out a really good reason to leave that checked yet. If somebody else knows something different, please let me know. But I usually uncheck that and I click reuse. And then I'm going to get the assignment window again because I'm reusing that assignment that I used before. And so the title's already in there. The directions are already in there. The due date copies over. Basically, everything copies over. But at this point, I have the option, getting a little bit of feedback from somebody, to remove that assignment. So if I click on the X, it'll actually take that assignment all the way off. And that's actually what I'm going to do for this because Kirsten's going to use this to demo a different way to hand stuff in. But if I wanted to, I could change the options on the assignment. I could attach something different. I could go back and get a different file or something like that. And I can also, at this point, if I want to post again to multiple classes, I can pick that. I can save my draft again, or if I'm good with what I've got and I'm satisfied with what I have, I'm going to go ahead and change that a little bit so Kirsten can tell the difference. I can go ahead and click assign, and then again, that will pop up in my stream. And then at that point, students can answer the questions or turn in the assignments or do whatever they need to do, which is what the lovely Kirsten is going to show you how to do right now, I believe.
Can I interrupt for 1 sec before you keep sharing?
Absolutely.
Can you show one of the results of one of assignments where someone turned something in? Because the question was asked when a student turns something in, what it looks like from the teacher side. I think one of those had up above. I think there was one that right there, 3 done.
Yeah. 3 done? That's a question, though. Are you wanting to see an assignment, or are you wanting to see a question? Because that looks a little bit different. We can do both. So this is what a question. Yeah. Let me do this one, and then I'll go back and do the assignment too. So this is what a question looks like from the teacher side. So this is a discussion question in the stream. So you come in here, you can actually toggle between the question. The comments here are class comments, which are a little bit different than replies to the questions. But then I can go here and I can see student answers. And then this is the place where I could grade. So if Kirsten put her answer in there and she did good, and then Mark did horrible and didn't use a complete sentence, I could give him a 10. And then I could return those to them, and then they would get their grades. I can also change the grade here. This was a little tricky for me. Like, I thought when I first saw this that you could only pick 1, 20, 50, or 100, but you can actually make this worth whatever you want. And that was a little confusing to me at first, but you can just click in a custom value there. It doesn't really look like you can, but you can. And then you can change the score. So Kirsten's going to get a lot of extra credit on there. And then at that point, I can see everybody's replies. I can see the replies to that person. I can reply back to them. As the teacher, I can do all kinds of things like that. Is that good, Ray?
Yeah, I think that answered it. That was for Naomi's question, but I think that answered it.
Okay, do we want to see an assignment too, or?
Yes, do you want to show the assignment as well?
Yeah, so let me go back to my stream. And then this bottom one, I only one person turned this in. I did this a while ago. So when you click into this, my students are over here on the left. Again, I've got my point values. I've got the return button, which basically sends the assignment back to the student. It pops it back up in their classroom. And then this is where I can see actual student work. So you'll see that I have Kirsten here, Brandy here, and Mark here, who Mark, as usual, is a slacker and hasn't turned in his work. And you'll notice that it marked it late, and it also marked it late on Brandy's. Kirsten, the angel student that she is, turned hers in on time. And so I can click on it right here, and what it'll do is it'll pop up her copy of that assignment, and you'll notice right up here on the top it has her name appended to it. Google Drive does that. She doesn't have to do that. I don't have to do that. Google Drive does that. And then at this point, I can put some comments in here. Great job. And then I can close that out, and then I can send that back to Kirsten. I can give her a grade and say that she did a wonderful job, and then click return, and it will actually say, are you sure you want to return this? This is her grade. Click yes, and it will send it back to Kirsten with her grade and her comments and everything on the assignment. Is that good? Did I lose you guys?
Oh, you're good, friend.
Okay. Is there anything else? Any other questions about that?
Naomi asks, what does edit and post versus edit and not post? What's the difference between edit and post and edit and not post?
I'm not 100% clear what she's asking about.
I'm thinking it might have something to do with the save draft option.
Oh, okay. Is that right, Naomi? Is it this one?
Naomi, do you want to give us a green check if that's what you're asking about? She gives us a red X. She says, on downloading Word, I will handle posts, assign options. Naomi, we'll answer that question later. If you'll, she's talking about assigning.
When you create an assignment? You want to do that now, or you want to handle that later?
We'll handle it later, so after we get some clarification on what she's asking for.
Okay. All right. So at this point, unless there's some other questions or something else that you want me to do, I'm going to hand it over to the lovely Kirsten, and she's going to show us the student view. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Unshare yourself and let me back in. Perfect. Alrighty, so now I am back, and I'm going to show you guys a student view because I am a student in Ray and Dennis's class. So even though some of the things, try to think of me as a student and not as a teacher, because I am a student in this. So when I open up Google Classroom, this is my home page, and at the top of it, not only gives me the name of the class, but it also tells me who my teachers are in that class. And then right under that, I have my stream. I can see who my classmates are, and then that about page, which I told you about earlier, where I can get all of the classroom, the class's information. If I need to make a post, I also have a plus sign on the bottom right so that I can create a post to the class. And then I can also answer the things that have been given to me. I'm going to go quickly through the actual slides so that you can see what it really truly looks like, because that's kind of more important than seeing these. But these are great reference. So again, on the About page, you can see that I have my teachers on the left, and I can email them directly right from here by clicking on the email icon, so the picture of the envelope. That will allow me to email them directly. And then in the center, just like it looked like before, I have the information that the teacher has put in there for me to reference. All right, so in your student view, this is opening an assignment. So I'm going to go into how to turn in an assignment. We're also going to talk about how to create files for that assignment as a student. And then we're also going to talk about turning stuff in, which of course is very important. It's so much easier when you know the student side to help you plan for your side. So I'm going to go and share now. And I'm going to share the right page. There we go. Alrighty. So this is my live view of my Google Classroom, and I'm going to refresh that page. What was interesting, as Dennis was creating assignments, I was getting emails as a student saying that he put those things in there for me. So it's instantaneous, so you don't have to technically remind your students or even tell them, per se, that you've put it in there. It will automatically email them to their CCFD account. All right, so here is my stream, and I have the assignments. Here's Ray's announcement. He put in the sample assignments. And I also, here's my classmate view, so I can see who my classmates are, and I can email them as well. So if I click on that, I can email them. I don't believe that's a feature you can turn off, but it is there for them. And I can change that view to how I want that sorted. And then again, here's my About page, the information that has been put here for me. So back to my stream, I'm going to go down to the first assignment that Dennis gave me. He gave me a sample assignment that is due tomorrow. I can see all that information here. I'm going to open it. I can either click open or I can actually click on the title. And it's spinning its wheels, so there we go. And in here, you can see the assignment itself. So somebody want to, okay. So I'm going to open my assignment, and you can see it already has my name on it, because when Dennis put this in here for his students, he made it so that they would have to, it would create a copy of that document for them. So for, I can't remember, Jason, it might have been, that was asking about if you upload a document, can a student actually work on it and then turn it in? This would be a manner in which you can do that. You have them, you assign them a copy of the work, and then they all have their own. So I'm going to open it up, and Dennis's template will be in here. And I can go ahead in and I can make my reply. Of course, I will implement Google Classroom. Sorry about the extra O there. There we go. And when I'm finished and I've met the criteria of the assignment, I can turn it in. Up in the top right, there's turn it in. I can make comments. So if I wanted to ask for clarification on something, I could highlight, click comment. Is this correct? And then I could send that on so that when my teacher, when Dennis opens this up to grade it, he sees my concern. So before he grades it, maybe he'll have the opportunity to help me resolve my concern so that I can do better on the assignment. So, but for now, I'm going to turn it in. And once I do that, it's going to bring me back to Classroom. And it's going to double check with me, hey, do you want to really turn this in? Yes, I do. Please note that when a student turns work into you from Google Drive, you have now become the owner. The teacher is now the owner of the document. So that means that me as the student, I cannot edit that document if I open it again. So that's a good thing so that your students can't go ahead and work on things that you have already do. However, they can click unsubmit, and if I unsubmit my work, I then can edit. So you may want the students to go back and check their work, or maybe it's before the due date and they want to go back in and say, oh, I forgot a part of the assignment. This gives them that opportunity. But the ownership of the document becomes the teacher's when they turn it in. And I can see that I finished it by the green check mark in the top right, which is very helpful to me. And then I can add a comment for the class as well. To get back to my stream, I'm going to hit the back arrow up in the top left. And that is going to populate my stream. And now when I go down and I look at that sample essay, it says that it's done. So now I await my grade. So when I go into a Mark, are there questions that I need to answer before I go on?
I think we're okay.
Okay, perfect. All right, then let's take a look at how you would have a discussion, because I know we had some questions about, can students see other classmates' responses before they answer the question themselves? Which, you know, the kids who like to troll for answers, I don't believe that's an option. So again, I'm going to click on, I would watch my video like I was asked to. I would, right down here underneath where it says your answer, it says classmates will see your answer, because Dennis enabled that feature that after we've posted, that we can see each other's answers, which if we're using this as a discussion question, that's exactly what we want. So I'm going to click on the title, and I get to put in my answer. Now you notice there's no stream. I know I'm the first one, but there's nothing here for me to see any other answers. And I'll show you after we turn it in how I can go in and see my classmates' answers. This is my answer. Sorry, Dennis, I'm going to have to fail this assignment. And then I'm going to, I do have a complete sentence, so maybe I'll pass. I'm going to click submit, and it shows me that it's done. And now I get the option to see classmates' answers, so that I can go back in there and I can read what other people have written. So over here, yeah, let's see, there's Mark's. I was not able to see his answer until after I posted. Thanks, Mark, for putting that in. Good job. And I can reply to him. So that we can continue the discussion. Comment added. So, and now I can look at the very top, I can look at just my answer, and I can look at my classmates' answers. So hopefully that's answered that question from before. And again, I now have done in my stream. Yay, me. I'm very happy. And now the last one, I wanted Dennis to put an assignment where he did not put a template in for me, because I want to show you some of the other options that students have to return assignments to you. So I'm going to open this up, and I have nothing here. There is no template for me. So I have different options. I have an add tab. So when I pull the drop down menu, I can add something I've already made in Google Drive. I can add a link to something if that is what is pertinent. Or I can even upload a file from my computer as well. So I can upload a Word document or an Excel spreadsheet if I'm not using Google Drive. But I also have the option to create. And I can create a Google Doc directly, or any of the Google apps, directly from here. So if I click on Docs, where is it going? Oh, there it goes. It made a template for me to now open up. My name is still already there. And I can now answer the assignment and turn it in just like I did previously. So I'm going to click and I can comment if I'd like, and I'm going to turn it in. If this were a document that maybe I had to collaborate with a classmate on, I might share this document with my classmate so that we could do it together. Because what's wonderful about using Google Drive is that the apps within it you can share with each other and collaborate on the same document. So I'm going to turn this in. Again, it's going to bring me back. Do I really want to turn it in? Yes, I now give ownership over to Dennis and Ray. And now I have very happily completed my work. So I am up to date. Yay for me. So that, in a nutshell, is how, as a student, I would see this. And again, here I can add a post. What was the homework yesterday? I was absent. So I can still put those types of things in, like students use it in Edmodo. But again, if this is your first time using something along these lines, you definitely want to train your students well on what's an appropriate way to post so that it's relevant to the class at hand. So I'm going to scooch us back over and end the app share and then find out if there are any questions. Mark, what do you got for me?
Yes, we have a few questions. And some of these were answered in the text chat, but I want to have them answered out loud so anyone watching the playback can get them as well. Anita asked, will all K-12 students in this district eventually receive their CCSD Google Apps for Education accounts? I will answer that one. No school will receive this until the principal signs on. This is not something that we are doing to schools. It's something that schools are requesting and are getting on board as they request. So until a principal at a school puts in a request for this, they will not be getting it. So if you want this at your school and you don't have it, please talk to your principal. And if you need more details about how they can request it, contact me and I will give those details to you. Jason asked the question. He says, my concern is this: can students email their assignments to each other and thereby copy each other's work? Ray, do you want to answer that one?
I will, unless Dennis wants to. Dennis, or?
Go right ahead.
I will. Okay, I'll take that as me. I just said that, the kids are copy and pasting, whether it's writing down somebody's notes during class or electronically. The biggest thing is with, at least with Google Docs or a Google app, you can go in and look at revision history. And I got this from Dennis the other day. If you look at revision history and you see like, hey, that whole paragraph, got put in there in one fell swoop, then it's probably a copy and paste unless they're, super speed typers. And that's one way you could, if you're not sure, you usually have a guesstimate anyway, whether that it's their work or not. And just take a look in that. If you started to get suspicious, it'd be the easiest way. And then you can just go back and search the other assignments for that same text.
Thank you, Ray.
Can I add a little bit to that just real quick? The district, Jason, also on a district level, the Google Apps for Education comes with something called Google Vault, which is actually, I don't know exactly what you would call it. It's a monitoring service, but it tracks every single document created on the district domain, every single email sent, every single change to everything. So even if a kid does something and then dumps it in the trash, the district has the ability to go back and pull that out. And so, people always ask about, well, doesn't this make it easier for kids to cheat? I guess on one hand it does, but it also, in my mind, makes it easier to catch them as well, because there is a definite digital track, a digital footprint that goes along with all these. Yeah, and it's Google Vault. Sorry. Hope I'm not mumbling too bad.
Okay, we had the question asked by Kathy. Do all teachers have Google Classroom accounts? Kirsten, do you want to answer that one?
Sure. All teachers in CCSD currently have, a at nv.ccsd.net account. They have been in place, not enabled by the teachers yet, because each teacher will enable their account separately, but they have been in place since the beginning of the year. So we all have access to Google Classroom because we have our CCSD account. Whether our students have access yet will depend on whether you've been rolled out, whether your principal has opted in, and whether the data has been pulled to give the students their accounts. I highly, highly suggest talking with your digital coaches on your sites, at your sites, because they should have a good understanding of how to get that information going and rolling so that you can get started with this. I know I've spent a lot of time already this year helping my schools either learn how to use their Google accounts, and now as we're rolling it out, getting the students set up. I have a lesson I'm doing tomorrow to help fourth graders enable their accounts. So you want to definitely touch base with your digital coach, and they hopefully will be able to point you in the right direction and assist you.
The questions are coming up about how they access their NVCCSD account. We're running out of time, so we can't go through that process right now. But talk to your digital coach. The digital coaches all know how to do it. If you don't know who your digital coach is, please email me, Mark Oakton. You can send it to my Interact address, and it'll, I don't use my Interact anymore. I just use my Gmail, my NVCCSD account. I have my Interact forwarding all my email to my NVCCSD account. But send me an email, tell me what school you're at, and I will let you know who your digital coach is and make sure that the two of you connect. Are there any other questions right now?
I see Cynthia has a hand up, but I don't know. I don't see anything from her in the text.
Cynthia, do you have a question? She says it was answered. Wonderful. Okay. I'd like to thank our digital coaches, Dennis, Kirsten, and Ray, for taking their time to present this. Let's give them a round of applause, please.